The regular season a team has following winning the NBA championship is always such a unique viewing experience because on the one hand, like, yes, the teams obviously want to win as many games as possible. They want to build the right habits for the playoffs. But at the same time, like, as we all know, like, they don't have that same drive to go, 110 miles per hour as they did before they win the championship. What was once a sprint becomes a marathon with a bit more lows, a few more struggles, a bit more inconsistencies, just knowing that, like, hey, we don't need to have everything figured out right now because ultimately we know who we are, we're comfortable with who we are, and ultimately we know we're going to be playing for something in April, May, and June. And that mindset sort of resembled what the Nuggets looked like last night for most of their game against the Warriors, where the Warriors go up as many as 18, they're hitting a bunch of threes, 15 of 36 on threes on the night. They're at home, Klay Thompson's playing well, they got the fans behind them. It just sort of felt like the Warriors' night. And if you're the Nuggets, you just sort of chalk it up to, all right, these nights are going to happen, we're going to get every team's best shot, teams are going to really want to beat us. Of course we want to win this game, but we're not going to stress too much about it. Again, they're playing the long game, so you just sort of chalk it up to one in the loss column and you move on. Just not their night. That's what it felt like it was for the Nuggets. But the flip side to that mindset as the defending champs is when they eventually decide to flip the switch. Because that switch isn't just any normal switch, it's the switch of a champion. It's the switch of a team that knows how to play, how to execute at the highest level. And so when they do flip that switch, it can be really special to watch just how quickly the tide changes on the outlook of a game, like we saw last night in Golden State. The Nuggets weren't just down 18, they were down 18 in the fourth. It would have made all the sense in the world for them to just sort of pack it up and move on to the next game, but they didn't. They just kept chipping away and chipping away. What was once a defense that was struggling to get stops finally was holding Golden State to nothing. And then what do you know? They end up tying the game before Nikola Jokic, man. I just want to say that before that shot, it honestly felt like Nikola Jokic was having a quiet game. And then you see his stat line and he finishes with 34 points, 10 assists, 90 rebounds on 13 of 16 shooting. That's the kind of greatness he's at, where it just feels so quiet, yet it's still so impactful. And by the way, that efficiency is a streak of now 4 games where he shot above 80% from the field, which is an absolute joke that I think we've just become numb to with all the records that every player is breaking every single night. And then Jokic hits that shot, and I don't really know if that's what they had drawn up because that wasn't really such a good shot for him to take to try and win the game, but he hits it, and I just couldn't help but think to myself, A, what the hell was that? But more importantly, yeah, man, this is what champions do. They could show that resolve. They know how to come back. They win these games that feel unwinnable, that feel like they've already lost. But because of their greatness, because of the heights we know they can reach, that they know they could reach, they just don't care. They're not rattled by any of the stuff that happens in the regular season. And it's such an interesting dichotomy to see of a defending champ, where at times they just look so lackadaisical because they're just so interested, because at the end of the day they're just waiting until the end of April for when the real games actually start. But then there are also these moments where it's just no, we're gonna go get this, we're gonna go attack this team, we're gonna go win this game because we know we can. And that's exactly what the Nuggets did last night, and it was just the most beautiful example of their championship resolve, coming back from down 18 on the road. An insanely impressive showing from the defending champs. It isn't as surprising as much as it just is awesome and just really validating to the team that they are, to what we know that they're actually capable of doing.